Today on this episode of Ron's Reloading Channel, we're going to load up some 45 Colt using Hornady's new Click Adjust bullet seating micrometer. Stay tuned. I do have Hornady new 45 Colt brass that we will prep to get reloaded. I will be using 7.1 grain of unique with a 250 grain XTP projectile. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set up your sizing die. So to set up your sizing die, where my finger's at, you do have a decapping spindle. There is a decapping pin on the bottom side of the die. I'm using brand new Hornady brass and 45 Colt. So what I will do is I will run the die up pretty high, and then I will lift the ram, and then I will lower the die till the die makes contact with the shell plate. Once I have that, I will lock my lock ring down and tighten it up. If I were decapping my brass, I would run the decapping pin down, and you can see the decapping pin move as I adjust up and down. But since this is brand new brass, what I will do is I will run the decapping pin back up into the die and tighten the spindle up. So now what we're looking for is that the shell plate will touch the bottom of my sizing die. I do have a little bit of cam over on the stroke, and that's fine. So we're set up to size the brass now. Sizing the brass, it's a straight wall cartridge and my dies are carbide, so I don't need to lubricate the brass. Now that we have our brass size, we're going to chamfer and deburr the brass. Doesn't take a whole lot of pressure to do it. So now that we have our brass size chamfered and deburred, we're going to set up the case mouth expansion die. And what I will do is I will insert the brass in to the shell plate holder, and I'm going to run this die up because I don't want the brass hitting my case mouth expansion die just yet. So I brought the ram all the way up, and now what I'm going to do is turning the case mouth expansion die clockwise to bring it down. And when I feel resistance, I'm going to bring my lock ring down, but I'm not going to tighten it just yet. So this is going to give us a pretty good indication that maybe we might need to turn this down just a little bit more to expand the case so the projectile will seat into the brass. So I will be using the Federal Premium match grade large pistol primers to load in the 45 Colt. So what I'll do is I'll take out the case mouth expansion die when I go to seat my primers. And I'm just pushing the handle forward slightly to seat the primer. What I'll do is I'll run my finger or my thumb to make sure that the primer is sitting flush with the case. So now that we have our primer seated into the brass, I'm going to use my Frankfurt Arsenal IntelliDropper to throw 7.1 grain of unique powder. And then what I will do is I will cross-check it with my beam scale to make sure that I'm spot on with my powder throw. So as you can see right now, I've got my Frankfurt Arsenal zeroed out. I've got it set for my target grain at 7.1. I'll wait for it to get stable, and then I will cross-check it on my beam scale. And as you can see, that the powder charge is right on the 0. So I'm good on that. So now we'll start loading the powder up into the cases. I do have my Frankfurt Arsenal IntelliDropper set to automatically throw, so when I put the pan back on to the electronic scale, it will zero out and then it will start throwing the powder again. Now that we have our cases filled with 7.1 grain of unique powder, we are ready to seat the projectile. This is the part of the video where I really want to focus on using the Hornady new click adjust bullet seating micrometer. So what I will do is I will take off the O-ring and the lock ring and the seating screw off of the die, and I will replace it with the Hornady new micrometer. So while I have it apart like this, I'm gonna run the seating stem up pretty high, because when we go to seat the projectile, I don't want the seating stem to push the projectile past our cartridge overall length, which is 1.595 inches. So on the micrometer, it does have a line, and on the adjustment you have an H. So what I will do is I will align the H with the line, and each click represents 1/1000th of an inch. So there would be a total of 50 clicks per one complete revolution. And you can see here the line on the die is lining up with the H. So that's a pretty good starting point for us. So what I've done was I've ran the seating micrometer down, and we want to seat a projectile. Come back and get a measurement. I'm at 1.6205 right now. So I want to take it approximately 25 clicks. Now what I will do is I will go down 24 clicks, because I would rather be longer than shorter. So right there we should be pretty close to the 1.595. One more click will give us 1.595. $1.5945. So that is really, really close. $1.595. $1.595. $1.5945. Now that we have the projectile seated at 1.595, I'm going to go back and show you how to set up the die to perform the roll crimp. So with setting up the roll crimp, I'm going to take the click adjust bullet, seating micrometer off, and then I'm just going to put my die back together. So what I'm doing is I'm just keeping the seating stem up really high, and then we're just going to unlock the lock ring, and I'm going to seat the projectile. I'm going to bring this up a little bit first, and then I'm going to screw the die back down till I feel resistance. And once I feel resistance there, I'm going to turn the die another additional 1/8 turn clockwise. And I'm just going to tighten up my lock ring, bring the case up, and I feel a little cam over to get the roll crimp. It's a pretty light roll crimp, so what I will do is I will run the die clockwise about another 1/8 of a turn. To get me a nice good roll crimp in the cantilever of this projectile. With this video, I hope that it helps some of you newer reloaders out. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Till then, we'll see you next time.